Hi there, my name is Dr. Kevin Boltz. I'm a chiropractor and alpha bioticist. I specialize in something called alpha biotics, which is working more with rebalancing the left and right brain hemispheres and changing the energies in the body into a more appropriate balanced state. Okay, the reason why that's important is because energy is what does the healing. And when we're only focused on one part of the body, wherever the symptoms are, that's not really allowing a full healing effect to occur within the body. And so I work with energy. And so when I met Ed on an elevator one day and we began to discuss in that short ride from our floor down to the ground floor about his work and my work, it became very intriguing to me because Ed does spiritual healing and soul healing. And I know, from my line of work and 30 years of experience that all healing is an inside-out job. It has to occur in the innermost cellular tissue first before it can affect the areas of the body that you're trying to heal. And so with Ed's work, it intrigued me enough to want to experience it. And so he also wanted to experience my work, and so we've been working with each other. And so Ed does spiritual healing and soul healing. That enticed me to want to explore more what his work is. So after I worked with Ed, especially the first couple times, as a chiropractor, we treat back pain, shoulder pain, headaches, neck pain, all these issues that relate to the musculoskeletal structures of the body. But what I noticed is that we're not immune to that ourselves. In fact, most chiropractors do start to experience back pain and other problems because that's what we're doing all day is very physical work. And so for the last 3 or 4 years, I'll be 60 this year, and up until then, I never really had back pain, but the last 3 or 4 years, I've been noticing that my back is getting more sore, and my neck has started bothering me a bit. And so when I talked to Ed about it, he said, well, that's your, spiritual entity or whatever the case may be that's keeping that from getting better. And I can help you with that. So I was very intrigued to try his work to see if that does help me. And so the first time that we worked together, it was about probably a 15, 20-minute meditation that he took me through. And just bringing a lot of love and a lot of gratitude to the whole universe, basically. And that really helped me get into a calm, smooth state. Prior to this actually occurring, we wanted to do some range of motion tests to see what my body could do at that moment in time. And I happened to be pretty sore. And so when I did a forward flexion to see what my back could do, I was actually about probably this far from reaching the floor. Now, I've never been a guy that had huge flexibility, could put my hands or palms on the floor anyway, but usually I could get to pretty close to the floor. But at this point in time, I was probably 9-10 inches from the floor. And after working with Ed for that brief period of time, I noticed that when I did forward flexion, I could get to within about 2 or 3 inches from the floor. So I gained probably about 6 or 7 inches of mobility and flexibility just in one session. And then the other thing I noticed is before, when my neck was bothering me, I could basically turn my neck about 20-30 degrees to the left before it got locked. And then right afterwards, I could bring it all the way to about 90 degrees, which it still is to this point. There's still soreness there, but I have much better range of motion, which really matters to me because I exercise every day, I work out, I work on people all day long. I need to have flexibility. I need to have my range of motion working for me because it's so important for my physical being. And so that's what I noticed right away is the soreness decreased probably at least 50%, as well as the range of motion improving. One of the other effects that I noticed right away with working with Ed was that after these sessions, when he would work with really healing my spirit, healing my soul, you have to understand everything in life is energy. That's all that matters. There's only one principle in the entire universe that really matters, and that's love. And once you learn how to love what's going on in your body and accept it and allow for it to run its course, you will heal. And one of the things I noticed right away is that the next day after I would work with Ed, I noticed an influx of new patients and people coming to see me, people I hadn't heard from in a while would call me and say, hey, I need to get back in there. Can I come in? And I was busy. I was busier than what I normally am. I normally have a pretty decent practice, but I was busier. And I kind of equated, well, the energy I'm putting out to the universe right now is one of love and connection rather than being disconnected. And that attracts people to your environment. And so, I'm not saying that, this is all about becoming prosperous and abundant, but it can't help but follow if you do have a clean slate spiritually. You will attract more prosperity, abundance, health, and well-being. It all works together. So energy is what controls our life. If you have lower energy, lower frequency, you're at a lower vibrational state, you're not going to be as healthy, as well-being, as prosperous as what you can be. That's what this work, I noticed right away. Not only did I feel better, but I just noticed that I became quite a bit more prosperous and abundant at the same time. The thing with Ed's work that's different from mine is mine's a very hands-on approach. I have to have my hands on people to help them. Ed can do this work through the cosmos. It simply doesn't matter where you're located because all he needs is to access your energy. And it's a very non-hands-on approach. It doesn't need to touch you. It can be thousands of miles away, literally. And it's effective because he's working with energy. Energy has no limits. It has no boundaries. And he works with your spiritual soul energy. If your soul is fragmented and fractured because of all the different negative energies in your life and traumas, that's what he works with. And that can affect any part of your body. It affects athletes. It affects anybody. And that's why when your body's not in a state of ease any longer, it's in what we call a state of dis-ease. That's where the word disease comes from. Ed works with that dis-ease, just as I do. I need to have my hands on you. He doesn't. That's the difference. And he works with energy just like I do. But he does it in a way that creates a healing effect within your cellular structure based upon removing the negative energy and thought patterns that are pervasive within that area of your body. Every part of your body, especially the areas that you're feeling symptoms in, have a spirit. Okay, everything is spiritual in its form. And because of that spirit not always being for you and sometimes being against you, there are problems that occur with that. And that's one of the reasons why we start having symptoms. That's one of the reasons why we start having dis-ease. And so Ed works with that spirit and changes its form so that it's actually working for you and helps you get rid of the negative influences on that spirit. Ed hasn't had the anatomy lessons and courses and everything that I have. I know a lot about the neck. He doesn't, but he just knows that the spirit of the neck needs to be healed. The spirit of my low back needs to be healed. And so when he does his work, he does his magic, so to speak, that's what creates the healing effect. It doesn't matter if the anatomy is correct or not at that point. It doesn't matter if he knows exactly which muscles he's working with. It doesn't matter. What matters is the spirit of the neck heals. And that's what I experienced. And looking at his website, there's many other stories related to this. There's a naval officer that had lots of sports injuries. He had 4 surgeries on his knee, and he was in chronic pain. I see that stuff. I work with it. But Ed was able to do that from hundreds of miles away and get a quality effect. He helped this naval officer heal from his knee pain, even after 4 surgeries. So it simply doesn't matter what the condition of the tissue is. Ed can help that. The thing with athletes, they're looking for the most effective means to get them back on the field and back on the course, whatever their sport is. I've worked with many athletes over the years, many, and high-level athletes, highly paid athletes, and they're looking for the best way possible to get not only out of pain, but get into a functional state that allows them to be at their optimum peak. That's how they get paid. So with Ed's work, Ed can help anybody get rid of their issues based upon getting them into a highly spiritual state and getting the spirit of the cells working for them. So there's no doubt that what he does with myself and other people can help athletes. It's all about energy. If you don't have proper energy flow to those cells, Doesn't matter what an MD tells you. Doesn't matter what a physical therapist tells you. Doesn't matter what a chiropractor tells you. You have to have proper energy within the cell. And the only way to do that is to get rid of the negative influences on that cell energetically. That's what Ed does. If the problems that created the person's issues are still there, it's going to take a while for them to heal. That's why standard ACL surgery is a minimum, 8 months to a year long healing process. Rotator cuff surgery, 8 months to a year healing process. Some athletes are never the same after these types of surgeries. And what I've always found is that the problem that created it wasn't corrected with the surgery, whether that be biomechanical dysfunction or distortion or energetically indiced issues. When a person has negative energy in their cell structure, in that area of the body, it's going to stay injured. No matter how much correction was done surgically, there's still going to be issues. Can that person heal a lot faster with Ed's work? Absolutely, because that's what he does, is it helps restore the vitality and integrity back to that energetic area and energetic tissue. That's what he does. Of course it can help with a surgical procedure, absolutely. In my line of work, Ed's line of work, we're used to dealing with skeptical individuals all day long. We live in a very kind of non-3D world. If you can't see it in front of you, you don't believe it. And that's partly because of what's been taught in the medical model. The medical model, if they can't diagnose it, then it doesn't exist. And that I've always had to deal with as far as helping people understand that there's a greater level of degree of healing and certainty that needs to be accomplished in order for that person to get rid of the issues that are bothering them at this moment in time. I've had people say, that chiropractic stuff, I don't believe in it. My response has always been, I live on the 40th floor here. I want you to go out on my balcony and I want you to step off the balcony, off the ledge, and as you're falling off the balcony towards the earth, I want you to say, I don't believe in gravity. I don't believe in the law of gravity. You see, the law of gravity doesn't really care whether you believe in it or not, correct? You're going to fall and you're going to splatter all over the cement, okay? The universal laws, spiritual laws, do not care whether you believe in them or not. They still work. And all I ask people is to try it. If you don't believe it works, then don't do it again. But try it. If you feel the effects, which you will, then you're going to know that it works for you regardless of your skepticism or not. And so there's no placebo effect here. This is the reality of the situation. It does work. Energy works. It doesn't matter whether you believe it or not. So when you have skeptical people, I just say, look, just try it. Try it once. If you don't like it, don't come back. But it does work. In all the years of study and work I've put into this, being in the healing arts, I found that all diseases, all syndromes, all issues within the mind-body concept are basically occurring because of a lack of balance, lack of energetic flow. Everything goes on in the body has to have an emotional content to it, a spiritual content to it, a lack of energy, a lack of chi content to it. So if you're not focusing on the reasons why this is occurring in the first place and you're only treating the symptoms, you're never getting rid of the problem. You're never restoring vitality and life force back to those cells. So if a person has cancer or Crohn's disease or lung issues, there's a physical connotation to that, absolutely. That's what people are experiencing, things on the physical level. However, that's only one small part of the overall picture. And if you're not focusing on the rest of the picture, you're never going to get rid of that issue. You're always going to be just merely treating it and trying to keep it under control. But in the end, you will probably die young because these issues tend to kill you. Until you can get it resolved on the emotional, spiritual level, there's no way it's ever going to really resolve itself. And so with Ed's work, getting to the deepest core of why that problem's occurring is necessary in order to get into a healing state of consciousness. There's no way around it. You can't just drug an issue to death. It's not going to happen. You have to get into a healing state. And the only way to do that is to get into the deepest, most innermost causes of that illness. That's what Ed's work does. That's what I attempt to create every time I do an alpha-biotic alignment with people. That's what we're dealing with, is that energetic phenomena that creates the healing effect. The power that made the body, that knows how to heal the body, has to be turned back on. It's literally like flipping the light switch onto those cells. Because I'm in the healing arts, I'm always open to new and better ways to access a person's innermost healing ability. And I'm not married to technique, I'm married to results. Whatever gives me the best results is what I try to create for people. That's why when I found Alpha Biotics, it answered a lot of my questions, because I work with rebalancing the brain, rebalancing the energies in the body. Ed's work does a different system, but the end result is to create the same type of effect. And so I'm very intrigued with Ed's work, and I want to learn it myself, because anything I can do to help people get into that higher state of consciousness that allows them to heal, I'm into. And so I will be learning from Ed. I will be attempting to understand everything that goes on in his mind, because that can only enhance what I do. So this work is intriguing to me. I'm looking forward to learning more about it.